It's time for the Cinemassacre Podcast.
But first, a message from today's sponsor.
Are you ready for Ridge wallets? Ridge wallets! It's time to ditch your old, bulky, worn-out wallet and upgrade to metal with synthetic fibers. Pack up to 12 cards in a variety of 30 styles and colors, like the Forged Ash wallet, made of carbon fiber and solid resin. The camouflage look of this military chic wallet will have you saying whiskey, tango, foxtrot to your antiquated and obsolete old wallet. Is that enough military jargon? Oorah for good measure? We really love it, but apparently so do 40,000 others. It even has a lifetime warranty and a 45-day test drive. They even have other products too, like the Summit knife. That's not a knife. This is a knife. This is certainly a metal masterpiece of knife engineering. Knife-gineering. Yes. Head on over to ridge.com/Cinemassacre and use code Cinemassacre for 10% off your order. Now that that's over, I'd like to do a little State of the Union address here on Cinemassacre. October was certainly a hell of a month for all of us. James is currently knee-deep writing and getting episode 200 ready for the end of November. Episode 199, the second part of the Commodore video came out, the Halloween one. Hope you like that. Monster Madness, as you may know, was, a lot of fun to do. We got that completely out there. Just took a lot out of us, but I hope everyone really enjoyed it. It's great doing again after all these years. Aside from that, me and Kieran are going to be at Retro World Expo this weekend in Hartford, Connecticut. So come and hang out with me and Kieran up there and, some of the guys from Hack the Movies and stuff like that. So, yeah, just wanted to say hi because I'm not in this episode. James talked to all the other guys in Rex Viper during TooManyGames weekend when everyone else was busy. So, we're kind of trading who's busy and who's not. Next week, we should get completely back to schedule with me, James, and Kieran on the podcast talking about movies and games and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, good talking to you guys, and see you later.
Welcome to the Cinemassacre Podcast. This is a Rex Viper special edition. We got most of Rex Viper here right now. Let's tell you really quick the origin of the band, like how this all started. So we got together to practice one time, just to, figure out what our sound was going to be, what we were going to do. And we rented out this weird place that was converted from like a warehouse, and it was just like to get to it you got to go through this alley, and there's all this like graffiti and neon signs and broken glass everywhere, and so we show up, and then we're loading in all of our equipment and everything, and we got all our gear and our amps and everything, and then all of a sudden a bunch of guys show up, and they're wearing like sunglasses, like even though this is night. And they got like these colored mohawks, and they got like brass knuckles and shit. I'm like, brass knuckles? Is that even like a thing? And then they got like a club with spikes on it, and like chains. And like fucking.
Swords. I think there were swords there for sure. Yeah.
And like these guys are gonna kick our ass. They're gonna steal all our gear. Mm-hmm. If we're lucky, we'll lose our gear. Sure. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, we're gonna lose our lives. So we think we're doomed. Then all of a sudden, this ninja star comes and takes out the streetlight, and in a flash, I just saw this silhouette of like this guy just standing in the alley, and I heard one of the guys just yell, "Oh shit, it's Rex Viper!" And they just ran. And we're like, who is Rex Viper? Like, we didn't have a name for the band yet, and we heard that and we're like, boy, like those guys just took off. Like whoever this guy was the bane of their existence. This guy meant business. And we never got a good look at him or anything, but we kind of owe the band to him, so we named the band after Rex Viper.
And now if we see those guys, they run screaming. Like it's great. We've got a name that strikes fear into the hearts of punks all around.
Yeah.
This is for you, Rex Viper.
Yeah.
So
thanks,
maybe...
Please don't sue us.
So whoever this guy is, maybe at one of the shows, he might show up, and hopefully he's got our back.
Yeah.
And he is not the trucker guy from the Big Rigs review.
There you go.
Because I
Good to
called
point
him,
that out.
Yeah.
Common misconception.
Yeah.
Common misconception. You know, he's not really a tough guy. He's actually kind of insecure with himself, the Big Rigs guy, Mr. Riggs.
Mr. Riggs,
But his real name is Bartholomew Riggs, but he doesn't like people to know that. And
Maybe overcompensating.
so he was kind of like the fictional roadie of the band, and he named himself after the band, which was named after the guy who was a mystery character at this point. Now, of course, the real story is this band was formed out of quarantine in the middle of 2020. We've gone through some lineups because it's very difficult to form a band when some of you are in America, some of you are in Canada, and some are on the East and West Coast. So it's a tricky thing. It's kind
Very
of just it's cool that we managed to get this all together. So just to introduce everybody here, if you want to just go down the table here, James Harding
Sure, yeah.
from Villainest.
James Harding from Villainest, that's me. So I've you might be able to tell from the accent that I'm not originally from Canada, but I live in Toronto. Have been playing in a band called Villainest for 7 years, just with some great friends of mine, Jill, Yeri, and Yarko. And our deal is that we started off kind of making original Sega Genesis sounding music using like the Gen MDM, which you can use to sort of turn the Genesis into like a MIDI synthesizer. So I don't know anything about keyboards, I can't play them, and so the idea is that I would sort of take it together and, you know, stick some shit into a piano roll and do what I can, and then we'd kind of strap into the roller coaster and just rock out on top of it. So we got guitars, and Jill sort of sings lead with me and everything. It's really good fun. And kind of through playing that, I met James Ronald over here, the Mr. Epic Game Music himself, just kind of being through part of that scene in Toronto. And we've been very good friends for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And,
for a really long time.
and so as to the story as to how I got involved with this, I got a text from James Ronald maybe a few weeks into quarantine, and I was in my apartment that had no air conditioning, kind of sweating my balls off. I just get a text going like, "Do you want to sing Mighty Wings?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I had no context. You're not the greatest texter in the world.
No, I just give you what you need to know.
Every so often I'll just get a text going like, "Do you want to do this?" And the answer is usually yes. And especially at that time, it was definitely yes, because I had nothing to do. So screamed my face off in my bedroom for a bit. And that's how the first song came about for me. I don't know.
Yeah, this is how we get people into trouble, by just being like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And now we're in like playing a show in Pennsylvania and stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You were
Like,
saying to me earlier, like you tend to get people into situations, and I'm now one of those people.
welcome.
Yeah, and he sings and plays guitar, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I do. Yes.
I don't know if we designated or.
I did some guitar on Power of Love, I think, didn't I? Yeah.
Oh, it was very. It
Doing
was
some guitar minis.
Yeah, it was very good guitar for sure.
Yeah, and then going down the table, drums, Brad.
Yes, I'm Brad.
Yeah, you are.
Hi, Brad.
Hi. In a band currently called 8-Bit. We, right before quarantine, went to Australia and did an East Coast tour. It was very cool. Had a very good time there. Came home with tons of plans, everything to do, and then quarantine hit. So after that, I was kind of stuck at home and I was practicing all the time. And big video game music fan, listened to it my whole life. Have obsessions with certain composers. So I started making Instagram videos and doing little, 1-minute clips this here and there, making reels, making different IGTV on Drum Boy Advance. And I've been posting those for the last 6 months. And, I was talking with Adam, and Adam said you guys were kind of in a pinch with a show coming up, and started talking about practicing possibly with Rex Viper. Yeah. So I started nailing those down, and the story was written. Also,
Adam is the UFO guy, in case anyone's wondering.
He's been beamed up for this episode. The aliens saw the last episode and were like, "This guy knows too much."
He knows too much.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to get everybody here if possible, but it was just very difficult. So we got most of Rex Viper here, but just to give a shout out to all the other members, people who are in the band, people who have been in the band. We Adam on bass. Justin doing backup vocals and the hype man. And Kieran did some guitar on the first 2 songs.
Yeah.
And Jeff did drums on the first 4 songs as well, both the the recorded version, and he's in the video as well. And unfortunately, he has some other commitments because drums are the hardest thing when you're in a band, because you need to have the space. You need to have because he's in a small apartment, and even with electronic drums, it's really loud. So he doesn't have time to record for us, unfortunately, or make it, fly all the way to the show, because it use up all his vacation time.
For sure.
But, he's a great friend of mine, and we talked it over, and he said, yeah, this just isn't possible for me right now. He was honest. And, that's the way it goes in a band. It's like just you change members out, especially when you're on 2 different coasts and all kinds of, places. And
For sure.
Yeah.
One former band I was in had 29 members.
Oh wow.
Not including the final members.
That might be more than Black Sabbath.
Yeah, right.
That's fair, actually.
Or like Spinal Tap, our last drummer, he exploded.
Yeah.
But huge pat on the back to Jeff too. The drum tracks are incredible.
Yeah.
It's
especially
tons of fun.
Eye of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger's
Eye
so
of the Tiger
good.
is nuts, and it's so much fun to play.
Yeah.
So really great job out to Jeff on those, and I'm loving it. So
yeah. Cool.
James,
it's me.
All right.
Oh yeah, there are 3 Jameses.
I was gonna say I'm
yes.
one of 3 Jameses, and also we're sort of bookending the thing. There's a James
that's
here,
right.
James
Yeah,
here.
this
James.
was rehearsed. We didn't figure this out. We spent a lot of time. How will people be able to tell? There will be a quiz at the end of this.
it's nice and easy too, because if I forget somebody's name, and just yell James.
Just James, and you're gonna
Dino
hit
gets
someone.
upset. Oh, sorry, Dino.
Someone will have the answer.
Anyway, so I'm James from Epic Game Music. I have a YouTube channel where I do covers of video game music. And also I write video game music for a living. So if anyone needs video game music out there, I'm your guy. So I got involved with Rex Viper by, I guess, you reached out to me for the Mighty Wings thing, and just with the general concept, and we were just putting together who we want for this, and Adam, I think, was already he's sort of the core of finding people now, what I mean? He's the Rock, that people
Rock,
get. But and then I asked Harding to do vocals, because he said it's get someone who's super good at singing, and I'm
We'd recently had some pretty heavy karaoke nights as well.
Yeah.
I was slamming out the Bon Jovi, and I could see the wheels turning in your head.
Yeah, and I think originally, it was just supposed to be Mighty Wings for the Top Gun movie that was coming out, which at this point still hasn't came out because of quarantine.
I forgot about that.
That was the original intent, because we're yes, Top Gun's coming out, let's do Mighty Wings.
I think I remember telling you, we got to get this out in time for the Top Gun Maverick movie, and we're still waiting.
Yeah, that was going to be May 2020, wasn't it? Yes.
I think.
That.
I think it was even delayed from even before that, I think, 2019 at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's on Wikipedia. Look at all the release dates for the new Top Gun.
Looking forward to it.
We'll see what happens with that. Oh, yeah, and I also produce, most of the music, so if anyone has any problems with that, you can send them to me.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, he puts together James here puts together an arrangement, and then we all play to that. We record our tracks.
Well, there's feedback. Everyone sort of is maybe it should go like this,
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then there's a final mix at the end, of course. So you do that as well.
Yeah.
It's great on my end as a singer to be throw a bunch of feedback out, and we all sort of do this and go around the table and we go, it'd be great if you did this, and then you just run and we just cause that little bit of suffering for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's
and then I just get to sit back and enjoy myself, and then listen to it when it comes in.
Yeah, it's my job to take the ideas that people get and just stick them in there somehow, right? Because people have so many good ideas in this band, it's crazy.
We have this list of just all these songs we want to do. It goes on and on and on, and we're randomly texting each other. Adam, a lot of times he'll text me and be like, "Yo, we should mash this up with this song." Anyway, Dino, can we move the mic over to you?
Hi, I'm Dino, and I'm in a band called Cheap Dinosaurs, and I play keyboards. I also play for Rex Viper. And I know Adam, so he kind of asked me to do it, and I was just
Yeah, Adam knew you for a long time, and he knew Brad for like 20 years.
20 years.
And we were acquainted like 20 years ago,
That's
which
true.
is weird.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
Surreal.
Like, we didn't hang out like a lot, but we definitely did hang out before. Yeah.
We did a lot in that time, though, I think. We probably just don't remember it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were probably drinking a lot during that time. It was college, so that was about 20 years ago or more, maybe. I don't know.
Definitely more now.
Yeah. Huh. Well, anyway. So go on.
Go on.
If you have more, okay.
I don't have very much, I don't actually have a big web. Oh, I do write video game music too.
Yeah,
you do have something pretty big.
So there's actually 2 people on here at least.
There you go. Yeah.
So the idea of the band is sort of like all the game tunes and training montages that you remember. It's like workout music for nerds. And since we intend to play video game conventions a lot, we'll bring you some video game music, but mashed with movie nostalgia. All those motivational, uplifting songs to get you going. But there's a lot of video game tunes that we want to do because we all have our favorites and stuff, which just goes on and on. But have we talk about our favorite video game soundtracks or songs in particular? So I don't know. Whoever wants to start, just go for it.
All right, so probably my favorite soundtrack, and also it's one of the best games ever, just in my opinion. That's a huge claim, but Final Fantasy IV. Okay. You can't. Hey, look at this guy already. He's like,
it's a good one. It's okay.
But it's just so interesting because of course it has that sort of chip sound, that Super Nintendo, but it's kind of orchestral, but the rhythm of it is sort of like the drums and bass of a rock thing going on. So this sort of has this driving, low end and then airy themes and stuff like that. It's just a very interesting thing. But we're talking game music, you can't not say Mega Man about something, right? Like any Mega Man soundtrack is an 8 out of 10 at worst.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like Mega Man 2, 3, 10 out of 10 almost. 9.8 or whatever.
There's no doubt. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with Final Fantasy IV. I was all about 6. That's when I jumped on.
6 is
which was
good.
3 on Super Nintendo. But that's one of my favorites actually.
The fanfare in 3 is superb. When you win that battle, there's some funk in it.
It's got the hopping bass.
It's good, man.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very cinematic. It was one of the first games that I heard that sounded like this soundtrack could be a movie. Yeah,
well, definitely that's the one where Final Fantasy got its footing and voice and knew what it was going to be from then on. You know what I mean?
One of my favorites is the first level of Super Contra. It's as soon as that starts up, it's just gets you so pumped up.
Is that Jungle? Is that?
It's not the first Contra, but Super C.
Super C. Yes. Sorry.
I mean that's good too, but Super C, just that first level, right when you drop into the level, and then it just starts up. It's get ready, It just has that tense feeling to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sort of speaking about things that get you pumped up, I'm a huge sucker for orchestral hits, and you can't get any better than any Ninja Turtles soundtrack.
Oh God!
Yeah, Konami stuff.
Your Turtles in Time soundtracks and everything. I'm just such a fan of anything that's got loud orchestral hits in it. We've got some jams going on in the live set coming up where Dino's got some orchestral hits coming up, and I'm just turn those up, please. Because I just like that Janet Jackson kind of Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis style of production, and if you ramp that up like they do in the Ninja Turtles soundtracks, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Most of the time for video game music though, I think out of everybody, I'm probably the most sort of Sega-based guy. I never really had a Nintendo going, God, it feels awful to admit that on this podcast. I came into Nintendo games and music and stuff super late because growing up I had a Sega Genesis and that was my world. I'd be reading the manuals and everything and getting that was my identity for a good few years.
I totally get it. I mean, me too. I grew up on Sega Master System.
Yeah,
so
absolutely, and that's got such a distinct sound, next to
little chirps.
Yeah,
that's the distinct sound of it.
So, for me, video game music and the stuff that I really love is the stuff that can really get the best out of the Sega Genesis chip. So I'm talking Streets of Rage 1 and 2, the soundtracks by Yuzo Koshiro, because he's bleeding that chip dry for everything that it's worth. And he's taken all of his knowledge of house music and just making the ultimate kind of super cool kind of cyberpunky, like, brawler theme. Yeah. It's just like it gets you pumped up, but it's also got that like laid back cool to it, and I'm just amazed at how he managed to get the sound.
Just a quick thing, like I'm actually on the same soundtrack as that guy. Like that was like a mind blowing moment. Yeah, I'm like, okay, like ActRaiser, Streets of Rage, you know, just like
incredible.
We talked about it the other night. I mean, it's funny, you get us all together for the show, and we spent we were up till 4 a.m. talking video game soundtracks. So this is perfect.
You guys were.
So like,
we've been sleeping on floors for a couple.
Thanks to each other. And it's we were talking about like that Yuzo Koshiro. It's music of the time, which blows my mind. It's not like he's emulating something. He's playing what's on the radio at that time.
Yeah,
and that's so crazy to me that he's able to make hits.
And
right?
in a way that kind of stands to now. Like
they're still here.
I have
still
those soundtracks pressed on vinyl. They sound fantastic.
Yeah,
I'll listen to that when I'm cooking, and it's nothing better.
Yeah.
It's cool too. Like everybody has mentioned songs that I've played on drums, and that's
cool.
like it's videos that I've done or things that I've listened to forever. And I have a cheat answer, and my answer is the Konami sound team, because the Konami sound team. We were talking like they've done everything. There's Metal Gear Red Alert. Like that Red Alert song is super good. Gradius 2, I've just like started digging into because it's on Famicom.
That's
so
tight,
now I'm listening to it, and it's like there is a hit after hit on that track. You know, it's really good.
Killer Instinct is one of mine.
Yeah.
The whole Killer Instinct soundtrack. Well, it actually was the first game where I remember it coming with the soundtrack, like the CD Killer Cuts. And all different types. Like Fulgor's theme has like that weird kind of like machine kind of sound to it.
Metal, You're clanging in it.
Like a lot of that. And then Cinder is like a speed metal one. And then the Saberwolf one. I remember that. It was like one of the first things I ever tried to edit with 2 VCRs at the time was the horror movie clips set to the Saberwolf theme. Because
cool.
It's like an AMV or something. That's cool.
Yeah, the organs in that, they're like all over too. It just starts slow and speeds up. In that Saberwolf.
I even wrote some down. I'm just gonna.
That's what I have some in my phone, but I'm gonna try not to because it's endless. Another big one for me, and this is something I've returned to forever, and this is since I had it on Super Nintendo. I like jazz, and I'm really into golf games, and every golf game is a banger, like from start to finish. And Pebble Beach Golf Links has smooth jazz, elevator music, bossa nova, and even funk, all on the same soundtrack. Wow. So it's like
that's eclectic.
All these different all these different types from the same composer or a team of composers, I'm sure. You know, and that's one I go back to all the time.
I like the soundtrack to NES Golf. It sounds like this. It sounds like.
That's perfect.
Son it up.
Blast that in the car for sure.
We can mash that with something.
Yeah, of course.
Crazy Bus. We got to cover Crazy Bus.
That's a lot.
This might happen. Don't get too excited. You know what I mean?
Like, speaking of stuff that like you wouldn't expect is, you know, if you know like the NES soundtrack to Pictionary or something like that, you know, menu screens.
Was it Tim Fallon? Oh, Tim Fallon's a legend.
Who just, you know, my lore isn't totally up to par, but like legend has it that, you know, he will write what he wants, and if you hire him, you're gonna get what he gives you. And like that Pictionary menu screen slams. Like there's a point like I used to like go to work on the bus and I'd have that on repeat just because it just get you pumped up in the morning, and you wouldn't think that for Pictionary.
It's just out there, but like no, dude,
there's a solo on that that's like
Tim Fallon is from like outer space, like the sounds he could get with that much limit on like what like you know the NES or the whatever you know can do.
Like the Time Crack soundtrack and stuff like that. I think he did that, and like the technical mastery of the chip stuff is just incredible on that.
Yeah, for sure. Silver Surfer, I think, you know, is like...
Is that Jeff or Tim?
Oh, wait, there's more Fallen.
I know, there's like...
There is a dynasty,
Damn, okay, well... I don't know then.
I don't know either. I thought I was asking you.
No, maybe they're all the same dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, could be.
Might be an easy answer, but like the entire Street Fighter soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
And that's one that I've listened to since it came out, right? And everybody's iteration of it or everybody's cover of it, I eat it all up. Like,
Yeah.
no matter what it is, you know, Chun-Li's board, like people get super creative because there's a crowd in the background, so you hear little ambient noises, things like that, and all of them are just like blood drivers, right? You know, get you pumped. So
I like how even the things you wouldn't expect, like the Back to the Future NES theme, which I complained about previously. I'm like, what is this? Like, this sucks, you know? And then we end up covering it.
Then in a million years, I never would have thought to cover that, but it's just one of those ideas that like snowballed, and it's like, I guess we're doing it. You know?
Yeah, because I think at the time I did the review, which was like 15 years ago or so, I didn't know that it was actually Power of Love like sped up until I've seen, like, you could look up all different YouTube videos. People have sped it up and matched it with the other song, or slowed it down to make not sped it up, they would slow it down so that it sounds like the original. And that's the idea of doing that song. It was like, well, how about we play Power of Love by Huey Lewis, but then speed it up into where it turns into like the NES theme. And also with Street Fighter, it was just a coincidence that I mean, I'm not sure if it was a coincidence or it was actually an influence, but that Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick, the main riff sounds exactly like the Ken theme in Street Fighter.
Yeah, it's different enough.
Absolute influence.
It's definitely influenced,
the same song, but it's the same song.
Oh yeah. Well,
influence is the best way to put it.
Yeah, you're riding the rim on that one, whether it's like
And that soundtrack, I mean, they had to make music from all over the world, so I'm sure you have to look for resources.
Oh yeah,
to get creative.
Well, like if that was the soundtrack to the Guile stage with the plane in the back, it'd be like, okay, that's Top Gun.
That's spot on.
And maybe, just maybe it was. And they were like, wait, this is too similar. Let's, put it on the Ken themes. I don't know.
Yeah,
just an idea.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Sometimes when you write music, people will be like, okay, I want a song that sounds like this. And then you'll show them and they'll say, okay, it doesn't sound enough like that. So maybe it was a situation like that. Where it's like,
can you get it closer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
More Cheap Trick.
Are we going to do the Vanilla Ice thing? Or,
Queen, Under Pressure.
Yeah, Under Pressure.
No, ours goes the ding ding. So,
That's
Cheap Trick, we don't owe you $1.
You're on it.
I mean, I've always wondered that because, like, I'm not as advanced on music as you guys. So, like, when I'm looking at a guitar, like, I'm learning a lot. Like, I've played, for a long time with it, 20 years, but I would also play drums. I'd also make movies, and I'd also do this and that. So I never really focused on it. But lately, I've been doing it a lot more, for the band. And as I've been doing it, Marc Miller from SoundTheoryStudio.com has been helping me out. Learn some guitar. He's actually sitting over there, by the way.
What's up?
Yeah. And, when I first picked up a guitar, I'd always be like, well, how many things could you really do without repeating other songs? Because I'm just looking at how many, notes you could play. Yeah. So that's what I'm starting to learn is like how it really is this like limitless thing. But at the same time, there's always going to be something that sounds kind of like something.
Yeah.
I grew up like a major Slash guy. Like I was on the Guns N' Roses forums back in the early 2000s, and that's the Wild West of Guns N' Roses like fandom, because he wasn't in the band anymore, and you had to decide whether you were going to get in the Buckethead camp, who was amazing.
Yo, Buckethead is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I can't be too much of a fan of Buckethead though, because I can't play like that. I need to, I need you to give me a pentatonic scale and tell me that I sound great. Like, that's my that's my level of like musical expertise. But like I was huge into that, and then I was like, in terms of like my influences and what I go for in terms of production, I'm a big Nine Inch Nails guy. Helps that to have another pale guy with a large nose that throws himself around on stage and maybe doesn't have the greatest range or something, but goes for it, and I like that. That's my favorite. And then one of the things that sort of got me into this scene of video game adjacent kind of rock hybrid music is a band from Japan called Polysix, and they're one of my favorite bands in the world. To the point where my wife and I kind of hijacked our own honeymoon to go and see him in Tokyo for their 20th anniversary. So we got married and then just like fucked off to Tokyo and saw Politics. It was amazing.
That's
so
awesome.
they don't necessarily use video game synthesizers too much, but it's very adjacent to that. And they did this like in the mid 2000s. They did this cover of Suzi Quattro's Wild One, which has like a Game Boy solo in the bridge of it. And someone played that to me in a car, and I was like, what is that? Play it a million times, and this is going to be me now. And I really just absolutely haven't looked back.
Yeah.
Oh, a question. My first concert back after quarantine, was Green Day and Weezer, and I noticed singer Weezer, his guitar, he has a strap with like a lightning.
Oh, the
bolt in
lightning
it.
strap?
Is that where you got it?
I mean, possibly, yeah. I mean, the lightning strap's pretty ubiquitous. Like Rivers from Weezer is known, really, really known for it. My wife got that for me as a gift, like, because if you go into like a Guitar Center or something like that, I don't know how often you like browse the racks of guitar straps, but they're usually either really, really plain or super hideous. Like they'll look like someone's carpet, or there'll be like 10 Beatles quotes on it or something like that. And it's like, I like the Beatles, but I don't know if I need to wear this every time I do something. So the lightning strap is like this, I think a bunch of people use it, but like I'm a big fan of it because it, looks cool. Look, it's lightning, man. But also it's not like the plainest thing ever, and like I love it.
Oh, cool. I like that these videos give the opportunity to like just get some ridiculous stuff that you wouldn't normally get. Like in the Eye of the Tiger electronics video, I use a strap that just has like bullets, like a Rambo bullets.
That's how they know you mean business.
Yeah. I love flashy, so I mean my drum is a sparkled kit. It was going to be sparkly no matter what. So the flashier the better.
We talked about putting some glitter on there. So
on the snare drum we were talking. And then
exploding.
Dino's story of inhaling glitter. So
that
we're going to avoid.
Please tell that. That is a great story.
I don't think I need to tell the whole story, but I did end up getting filmed with glitter in my mouth, and I had to spit it out, and it stuck to the inside of my mouth instead, and wasn't great.
Turns out it's not too advisable.
I tried to regurgitate it, but it didn't go down, so everything else came up.
Better than the cinnamon challenge,
The glitter challenge.
I don't know about that, man.
The next thing,
What have we started? But wait, going back to Buckethead, and also this goes in the thing of flashiness. Like that guy isn't just really good at guitar; he also does like nunchuck stuff while he's on stage, and he does the robot. He can like pop and lock. Like that guy's just good at everything and likes to show off that he's good at everything.
Is he still anonymous? Like he doesn't,
I think so, but like
I think it's one of those things where if you searched hard enough, you'd probably be able to find a good picture. I mean,
I'd rather just know him as Buckethead and just leave it at that.
I mean, what are you hoping for at the end of that role? Oh, he's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
Well, that's most likely the case. It's not like he's some other famous guitarist, which I think everyone's like, oh yeah.
People thought he was Paul Gilbert for a while, which I don't think. Like I don't think that holds up at all.
No,
but back in the early 2000s, that was hot topic.
Paul Gilbert taught Buckethead, though, so I think that's why there's some crossover on that. Yeah.
He taught him and then became him.
It's just gonna envelop you. Like
it's a mantle that passes from person to person.
Favorite, are we doing? Oh, you can do favorite drummer if you want.
I mean, when it comes to drummers, three of my big three are Danny Carey from Tool, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, incredible, always incredible. Neil Peart from Rush.
Yep.
That's probably my number one. And then another big one for me is a drummer named Ed Shaughnessy. I had chops for probably my first, as soon as I could grow facial hair, because I would watch his drum videos, him versus Buddy Rich, just doing things on the late shows and things like that. He used to wear this big green opal necklace. I ate it all up, and that's part of the flashiness. I think that's why I got some of that, but he's just incredible, and it's everything. It's jazz, it's rock, it's super fast, proggy kind of feel. So I think I'm a prog guy, kind of, with my drummer taste.
Yeah, with music, everyone slowly becomes prog.
That's all that happens, right? Like, we accidentally wrote a prog song recently.
We're accidentally prog now. By virtue of having about 10 different ideas crammed into the song. It's like, congrats, it's 7 minutes now.
But yeah, like my favorite guitarist and sort of band, I guess. Dick Dale. I don't know if you guys know.
So good.
Yeah,
I love Dick Dale.
He's probably most people know
Surf music, right?
Yeah, surf music. But yeah, for the Pulp Fiction theme. Yeah,
Sure.
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah. But like surf music is just a mood, you know what I mean? It's like very specific. But he actually plays his guitar upside down and left-handed, and that's how I play. So a lot of the way
Jimi Hendrix, too.
I learned how to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also like Jimi Hendrix. So like who's also a huge influence. So.
Well, you know what's funny is that I didn't realize it until a few videos in. I think we were talking about it one time, and then it was like, oh, that's right, yeah, like wow. Because when I look at it on camera, I just see what the guitar looks like when I'm looking down at it.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, it didn't strike me as being different. Like I knew you're a lefty, but I didn't know that it was upside down.
Flipped around.
And then when I realized that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. It kind of makes more musical sense because all the low notes are on the bottom and the high notes are on the top, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does make
Sure.
more sense.
I mean, it sounds backwards to me.
But like, it's
as
also
a drummer, it sounds perfect to me.
as a cool party trick, you know, it's just like, you know, put it right-handed. Then I'm like, oh wait, I'll just play it upside down, and everyone's like, oh my god.
I'd love to know because you get a lot of questions going like that can't be real, especially because you've been doing your YouTube videos for years. I mean, like I saw James's YouTube videos before I met him. I saw a flyer for a DJ gig he was doing at a wing restaurant like the week that I moved to Canada. I was like, I've got to see this guy. And I saw your YouTube channel. And, you know, since the beginning, you've been getting what's going like he's pretending he can't do.
Yeah,
that.
I know. People think it's fake.
Were you self-taught that way?
Yeah. So I borrowed my friend's guitar, and they were right-handed. So that was just the natural progression. Once I learned that, I'm like, okay, I'm really doing it wrong. It was too late. You know, like that's how I know.
Your
how
brain
to
was
play.
already wired for the way.
Yeah. yeah. But yeah, no, I do get a lot of comments of being like, oh, well, he's just faking it clearly.
Well, you've done I remember one time you had a show where you'd done a video where you were, because, you know, obviously we live in Canada, it gets pretty cold out there.
Yeah.
And you did a couple of videos where you were wearing gloves.
Yes.
And you got a lot of comments going like, this is ridiculous, you can't do that.
Oh, that was so funny.
And then you had a show where I've seen it happen, you put the gloves on, played guitar.
Live on stage just to put it to bed.
He can do
Oh,
it. Did you film that? Did that go?
Yeah, I filmed it. I didn't put it up because, like, I wasn't playing the best on that song, so I didn't want to be like, okay, well,
I'll tell you this. In the room and a couple of beers in, it was really.
Oh yeah, it was probably really good at the time, but yeah,
it helps. But, you know.
But yeah, no, people are always like, oh, you can't play with gloves on. I'm like, you totally can. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't. Like,
pressure, right?
There's no reason you shouldn't.
Yeah, so like, boom. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Dino, keys or anything
Keys?
you want to talk about, really?
Probably Gianni.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. I like Bernie Worrell. He was in Funkadelic too. He's like,
Nice.
I'm gonna say that about everyone. I'm just like, oh yeah, they're the shit.
Yeah, exactly. This really good musician
so
is
good.
really good.
Yeah, they really
Yeah.
can play the keyboards. You know,
Yeah.
I admire that.
But like, what makes a good keyboardist, though? Yeah.
Just knowing where to fit your sound, and you know, you don't have to be blazing the whole time, because like if you can like actually blend with other musicians, people don't even notice you until you start like to really open up, and then it's like, wow, that sounded great.
We just
That's how I
talked
live for
about that. We were like, you know, playing to the band, right? Like we can all show off, right? And we can show off all day, each one of us. But like playing to the band or playing to the song is not only difficult, but like so rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, once you get there. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
One thing I noticed with you playing that I didn't even think of, because you were saying like I'm not standing in the right place.
Yeah.
Right. Like during practice, and I didn't even think that you have to be standing in a certain position to like hit some notes.
Oh yeah,
stuff
and I
like
love
that.
moving my feet too.
Yeah.
He's got some moves.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, those are one of those things you just don't think about.
Just don't even think about. The bottom half. You know? It's just here, right? Yeah.
Dude, it's got true tears. I should probably mention Goblin too. They did like
Dawn of the Dead. I know them from that at least.
Yeah. I did a whole album with their stuff actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just covers. But,
cool.
Hey.
Yeah. Well, we're doing covers for now.
I know. I'm not knocking covers. I'm saying I've done it before too.
We do plan to get into some original stuff eventually, but right now I think phase 1 is covers, and we're gonna like knock a bunch of these out. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I definitely have some ideas for some like originals, but like
Yeah.
we all really gotta like sit down.
Yeah, we're
hash
really
that
excited for a lot of these new songs we want to do.
Yeah.
My favorite guitar player is pretty obvious. He's
I was
up
about
there,
to
yeah.
ask. Does Tony get on the list?
Yeah, I'd have to pick one, Tony Iommi, and actually, I just happen to have my guitar here.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, this is the.
That's so cool.
That's the stuff.
So basically, I had this set up to sound like Tony Iommi on Master Reality Volume 4, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and it's in the C sharp tuning. So I just really like playing it with that in that tuning because it just feels like the strings are more relaxed and just the way, just the way it feels is great. And I like to play a lot of the Master Reality stuff, and then sometimes I just go on my own tangents and make shit up. But something about the sound that he got is like so specific and has been emulated so much since, and then just kind of branched into all these genres of like stoner rock and doom metal or whatever. Sometimes desert rock, I hear it called, but it's all this big this whirlwind of genres, and like I just love that stuff. I'm constantly trying to find more bands that sound like that, and like there's like a bunch of them. Like every day I'm finding out like there's one called Telekinetic Yeti. And they're really good.
That's a dope name.
That's a really good name.
I love it already.
Yeah. There's like Electric Wizard. There's also Electric Citizen, and then there's a band called Egypt. I mean, you hear the sound in all kinds of things. Like there's like Corrosion of Conformity, like an older one, and then Queens of the Stone Age.
There's a band called The Castle from the Northeast that's like really good.
Oh, cool.
It has that kind of sound too.
The Castle. I'm gonna check that one out too.
Check it out. Yeah.
Oh, Caius.
Caius,
I think they're one of more like considered more like one of the original ones. Oh, and of course there's Witchfinder General, which was like very early. they're like the early '80s, and they were only around for a brief time, and they basically sound just like Sabbath. Like even the singer has like an Ozzy type voice. And then there's Orchid. That was like another one I just found out about. I'm like, oh my god, they really sound like Sabbath. I just love it. I can't get enough of that stuff.
And the fact that sound like evolved out of his like limitations physically, and that he had to get the heaviest gauge strings, and he had to tune down, and he had to sort of bend the strings a certain way because of his factory accident, having to have the thimbles and stuff on. Like the fact that accident sort of spawns essentially an entire sound, like completely, at least influentially, whether he was the first person to sort of detune his guitar or not, like the influence like can't be denied, and just the like coincidence of all of that and just how it spirals out is just it's incredible.
And it was his right hand. It's like these two fingers, right, like these tips right here. But he's a lefty, so he is playing on the stubs of his fingers.
Try doing that, James.
Exactly. Oh man.
I read his book. In his book he talks about like how he created these little like rubber tips, and he like had to melt down like some wax or something, and then there's something about a jacket, like he used some leather from a jacket that he'd rip off these pieces and kind of use that to like cover it up, and because otherwise the strings would keep like flicking off. He goes into a lot of detail and explains like how he, managed to play. Like when at the time, when it happened, he thought his guitar playing days would be over. But then there you go. You could make a total change and, keep doing what you do.
Man, when people are put in adverse circumstances, like they pull through. You know what I mean?
If something was to happen, I don't think I would stop playing drums. I'd figure it out. Right?
something
Like it's been a
out,
part of me for so long. That
Just stick the sticks in it. Just get stick hands.
Whatever it is. If I go to one single pedal, whatever the case may be,
Just off the top of my head, how do you guys feel about Pink Floyd?
Oh,
I mean, positively.
That's
I've been looking at it for a bit.
I wonder what gave me the idea. Like that's probably one of the most influential bands of all time. You know what I mean?
Well, Dave
goes
Gilmour's
hand in
got
hand.
an amazing sound as well, right? You can't sort of beat his phrasing and his tones. Like, since the dawn of time, like every like multi effects pedal has got like a Dave Gilmour mode. And, like, you can't say that about everyone, right?
Yeah, and I don't think to this day I've never figured out what is the sound of Pink Floyd, because it's like
It's all different. Yeah.
it's just you go to the Sid
Amalgamation.
Barrett stuff. It's way different than like the Gilmour and Roger Waters stuff, and then just Gilmour, and like it's just so like vast that it's like Pink Floyd is just not really like you can't really describe what it is.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the first time I think probably like around high school, I didn't get Pink Floyd. I was like, I don't really understand, what's the deal? And I think the problem was I was only hearing it on like the radio. I'd hear like the singles isolated from the rest of the album. But the first time I listened to Dark Side of the Moon, front to back, and kind of got the whole like cinematic journey that it kind of takes you through. It's like, oh, this sounds like a movie soundtrack. Like this is great.
And that's great, and that's what appeals to me about them, because like I'm a big soundtrack guy. Like I recently got to write my first one, so get the idea of how that is. FP3 Escape from Baco coming out soon, and that is, and that sort of feeds into what would later become like the stuff that I really love. Like, I mean, John Carpenter, for example, is someone who directs and composes for his own movies. Like, I've got an entire shelf of John Carpenter records that I can bust out at any time. Like, he's just such a fantastic composer, and now has a band with his godson and his son, and like they go out and tour, and it's just like, that's amazing. I saw him in New York.
But yeah, going back to the Dark Side of the Moon for a second, that's what sold me on Pink Floyd. I saw it the first time. Do you guys know Dark Side of Oz? Like the syncing it up.
Oh, you can sync it up? Yeah.
So there's a movie theater in Toronto that would show that. And like I was like not listening to Pink Floyd. I was like, I don't want to listen to your hippie music, whatever. And like my friends just dragged me to it, and I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Oh my God, That's what sold me, and that's been one of my favorite bands since.
Yeah. That tornado part.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Did you ever see
that tornado's legit. Yeah.
Did you ever see the NES version of Dark Side of the Moon?
What?
It's on a NES cartridge. Like they put it on a physical cartridge. I think it's called Moon 8.
Okay.
I have a cartridge of it, and someone sent it to me like a long time ago, and basically like you play it on your NES, and it's the chip tune of the whole Dark Side of the Moon, but you can use your controller to sort of isolate instruments when you want, and like
nice.
It's
that's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know what we're doing after this.
I'll be on eBay, right? Look at my copy.
Just say that'd fetch a bit on resale.
Yeah. That's cool.
All right. Well, we're gonna go get ready for the show. So look forward to some of our new songs, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Cinemassacre Podcast. See you next Tuesday. Check out more episodes at cinemassacre.com or wherever you fill up your ear holes with podcasts.